What's going on, everybody? This is Boxingwave, and we are back with another breakdown. Fury and Usyk 2 is this Saturday. All right, the big fight. I will be here covering the fight live, doing live commentary like I normally do. And I will be here Friday night too, going live and just doing our last talks on the fight before the fight Saturday morning. All right, it's going to be, I'm ordering it on the Zone pay-per-view. Okay. But I will be here Saturday morning to cover the entire car live. And like I said, I will be here Friday evening just to do some last discussions on the fight. Okay, so I'll go live. Anybody wants to join, we'll just do our last, after the weigh-in, I guess, last points before the main event. Okay. I did a couple of fight videos, maybe almost 2 months ago. And it was pretty much just breaking down this rematch, where one video I discussed and went more in depth on what Tyson Fury needs to do, keys to victory for him. And then I made a follow-up video with Usyk and what he needs to do in order to win this rematch. Okay. If you haven't seen those videos, please check them out. You know, I went into I went into a lot more detail in those videos than what I'm gonna probably do here. I think in this video here, I'm just going to talk about everything. And I'm definitely going to get into some points of how these guys need to win the fight or whatever. But check out those two videos, all right? They're still up, all right? I'm excited for the fight. You know, I thought the first fight was a classic. I think it was one of the best fights in this generation. You know, you can also add the trilogy between Fury and Deontay Wilder. You can add Wilder, Ortiz. You can add Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. There are some really, really good top tier heavyweight fights out there over the years. But this is definitely one of my favorites, probably top three for me. As I rewatched it a few times this year, I probably watched it at least 5 or 6 times at this point. It was just a great match. It was a classic to me, you know, and I think it was a great way to give this generation some sort of closure. You know, I know we still got 2 more fights. Well, let me not say that. I know we have the rematch coming up. I said that because they talk about trilogy so much when it comes to these two. I mean, but yeah, this is the rematch this Saturday. But I think as far as undisputed, we finally got it, not in the form that we thought we were gonna get. And what I mean by that is, at the end of it all, when everybody is down on a battlefield, everyone has had their losses, it really came down to Usyk and Fury at the very end. You know, not everybody fought each other, but Usyk came in and kind of swept the top tier guys at the at the heavyweight division at the very end of all. You know, he did what he did at cruiser, moved up, had basically 1 or 2 tune-ups, and went straight towards the top tier guys, beating Joshua twice, beating Daniel Dubois, beating Tyson Fury. He didn't play any games, you know, and he's much smaller than all of these guys, and he was able to still pull it off, you know. And you know, I thought it would be Fury and Joshua, or Joshua and Wilder, or whatever. You know, at one point, I thought it'd be all these other guys that was up here. And, you know, right underneath these two, you got Daniel Dubois, who's another person that I didn't even expect to be at the very, very top of this. But he's there. But what are we going to get after this fight? Well, hopefully, again, all I really want in this fight is to be fairness on both ends. You know, I'm not particularly like rooting for anyone. I didn't place any bets yet, you know, because it's kind of close. You know, I still think like the first fight, it's 50-50, you know, and I picked Usyk to win going into the fight on points the first time around, and it was close. And I thought it was close. I'm not just saying that because the judges made it that way. I actually thought it was a close fight. If Usyk won that 9th round where he scored a knockdown, if he had won that round without scoring a knockdown, he basically would have lost the fight, I believe, if it was on points. And a lot of people were saying that they thought that Fury was trying to rob him. To be honest, man, I gave Fury 5 rounds. Okay. I gave him, I believe, rounds 3 to 7. I gave Usyk the first two, 8, 9, and 10. I remember the seventh round being close. And I thought the 11th and 12th rounds, the last 2 rounds, were really close. So, however way you scored it, I thought the 11th and 12th rounds, especially the 12th round, were definitely swing rounds. You know what I mean? The seventh was a close round that I just gave the Fury. And I'm not in the group and the crowd that think that the judges were trying to screw over Usyk. I think Usyk won, but I can see there were certain rounds that could have gone to Fury. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at the fight. I do believe it was close. And I think if Fury is to improve, it's a possibility that he may win. But who knows? Because it really depends on the judges at the end of the day. And as much as Turkey Al-Sheikh and these promoters and everyone involved on the business end want Fury to win, and they've been pretty open about it because they want to make some bigger fights out there, whether it's with Daniel Dubois, whether it's with Anthony Joshua, they still gave it to Usyk in the first time around. And I think if they were truly trying to rob Usyk, they would have just gave it to Fury in the first fight. You know what I mean? It didn't go down that way. And I'm hoping that they continue to be fair when it comes to the judges. This is boxing at the end of the day, but I'm just trying to be positive about the whole thing. Yeah, so let's talk about this rematch. Everybody's talking about weight. Everybody's talking about a lot of things, but weight is always coming up when it comes to Fury and his fights. What weight he's gonna come in? He's been in so many rematches and trilogies, right? He had a rematch with John McDermott, a very close points decision that went in the rematch and stopped him. He had a trilogy with Deontay Wilder, controversial draw in the first fight, stopped him in the second and stopped him in the third. He had a trilogy also with Derek Chisora, first fight, went to decision, pretty rugged fight, I don't think Fury was near his peak in that first fight. Second rematch, I think he was at his peak at this point. It's one of the fights I always bring up with Tyson Fury because it's one of the few fights I think he actually was at his peak in that rematch with Chisora, stopped him, and then stopped him recently in the third trilogy, the trilogy that no one asked for. But he's always improved in the rematches in general, whether you're talking a trilogy or the rematches, he's always improved dramatically, and he's stopped every opponent in the rematches. Now, these guys are not Usyk. I don't think any of these three were as good as Usyk or anywhere close. But it does count for something. It does have to be mentioned. Weight. Well, I personally don't believe that Fury is going to be in the 270s. I don't think he needs to be heavier in order to fight differently and have a different game plan. I think it's very possible that Fury might still come in the 260s, but fight a different fight because he's already much bigger than Alexander Usyk. Okay? It's not like the Wilder fight where he just walked down, well, he was able to absorb the punches, walk him down, and just beat him up, use his weight, use his fundamentals in order to just beat up Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? He's much bigger than Usyk, and he doesn't need to put on the extra weight to do it. And even if he is going to be more aggressive, I think he can still be more aggressive without weighing so much more. When I think about him weighing so much more, I think he's much easier to hit. I think he was easier to hit in a rematch with Wilder, even though he destroyed him. But in the third fight, I thought he was just really, really sloppy. Like, even though it was a fun fight to watch, it was a really sloppy fight. It's like you really low back and watch it. He just looked so much sloppier than what he is as a lighter fighter. You know what I mean? So I think that the weight thing is not really a factor. I think with Fury, I think it's more about how is he going to fight? Like what adjustments is he going to make? Also, how is he mentally? This is the first time he's actually lost. He's had some close decision wins, but it's the first time he actually lost a fight. He's getting paid so much money now. Is he still hungry? Does he really care? Is he just doing it for a quick bag? I really don't know. I mean, the loss already happened. Is he I think he's over it, I would like to believe he is. But did the loss actually motivate him to want to win this rematch? I think he wants to win. You know what I mean? I do believe he wants to win. I think he wants a trilogy. I think he wants to take on maybe another big fight after, you know? I think he tries to leave the game at times, but I think the fights and the money, I think he still have a love for the sport. I think there's a part of him that still wants to do it. You know what I mean? I think he loves it as much as he talks about walking away and retirement, and he almost did retire before. I still think he loves the game. You know what I mean? I think something about the game is like a drug. Like I think even with Usyk talking about going back down to cruiser for what? What are you going to go down there for? Jai Opatai, good fighter, great. I don't want to call him great yet, but good, very good fighter. What do you want to fight those guys for? Again, for what? For what? This is a perfect exit if he's able to win. But something about these guys, these fighters, man, they love to fight. They don't know nothing else. They don't know anything else. You know what I mean? So I think with Fury mentally, is he motivated to really win? I think he is. And I think there's a part of him that feels that he won the fight. I mean, he says it, but I think he truly believes he won, and I think that could lead to him pushing himself a little harder to win this fight. Um, with that being said, I'm not one to believe that he didn't take Usyk seriously. I think he did. I don't think like he was under pressure. Like people are still saying that every time he looks. Listen, Fury, in my opinion, has not looked the same since the Klitschko fight. I mean, that is prime top tier Fury to me. Everything else has been good. I think he was very good and motivated in that first Wilder fight and a rematch. But ever since then, it's like, have you really been impressed with any of the performances since then? I've been more impressed with Usyk. You know, Fury, what, Chisora 3, Dillian White, you know, uh, Francis Ngannou. Like, were those great performances? You know, Wilder, I mean, I think he did what he had to do, but maybe this time he's motivated even more. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's coming in the same way. Maybe he's just getting older. So I don't know where to really look at it when it comes to the mental aspect of it all. I think Usyk is always motivated. Speaking on Usyk being motivated, like Usyk is always gonna feel like the underdog in every fight, especially at heavyweight. You know, for a guy that travels to beat opponents, um, he's always motivated because everybody always wants him to lose, and they're all open about it. Even Turkey Al Sheiks. Never mind the promoters, never mind the fans. It's people always count him out. I think that's all the motivation he needs. He could be the favorite for this fight, but he feels like the underdog, because he's ruining all these bigger fights. Being Ukrainian, everything that's going on over there. I think that's a push for him to stay motivated. I don't think beating Fury in the first fight, I don't care what he says, and I don't care how cocky he acts. I don't think that changes him and his motivation to win at all. So I think he's coming in this fight knowing that I gotta stop this guy. I think his mentality is always I gotta stop this guy in order to win. I have to dominate in order to win. I think when it comes to Alexander Usyk, even though he's the smaller guy out of the top tier heavyweights, he is the biggest dog and he's probably the most durable. You know, I think when it's time to really bite down and be clutch, I think he's top tier, like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant level. He's never lost in the second half of any fight, ever. I've seen him losing down on so many times. I think he was losing early rounds to other fighters. He's never Breedis, Bellew, Fury, whoever. Like, he always bites down and pulls out the win when you're tired. And this is why this is his advantage of having the superior speed, all right, and being the better athlete, you know, and just always being fit, staying fit between fights, just being dedicated to the sport. That's the advantage. But people don't talk about his durability, because when Fury was winning that first fight, I mean, having more success, let me say that, not winning, but when he was having more success in those 6-7 rounds, as badly as Usyk was definitely bothered by some of those big shots that Fury landed, it just wasn't enough. It wasn't even enough to put him down. You know what I mean? He just backed up a little bit, recovered. People just don't give him enough credit for having some of the best recovery in all of boxing. You know what I mean? He hasn't officially been knocked down. Officially, you know, and I know people are going to go into the Daniel Dubois, and that's cool. I'm not going to argue, you know, because the low blow is it's pretty close. It's right on the border. But outside of that, this guy is much more dog in him than a lot of these other heavyweights, man. They're bigger, but there's a talent gap there. You know, him being smaller and being able to move and throw more punches than these bigger guys is a crazy advantage that he has over these big guys. Fury can move and box well, and for his size, he can move very well. You know, from his feet, having decent hand speed, being able to slip and move his upper body. And Fury could do things that probably no other fighter his size can do. But Usyk is a natural. You know what I mean? Just different level of just conditioning and stuff. So that's always going to be a problem for Fury. And it doesn't matter what approach he takes this time around. I think he's going to take a more aggressive approach. First fight, he fought 95% on the fight on his back foot. And it was good because it did give him some opportunities with the counters, you know, and to catch Usyk coming straight in at times, you know, like with the uppercut and everything. He did go to the body, land some good shots against Usyk going to the body. You know, some nice sneaky counters in there, but he needs to be aggressive. In fact, I don't think it's just that. I don't think it's all about just being front foot heavy neither, because Usyk can fight on the back foot and counter him. You know, it's not like Usyk hasn't fought fighters that was coming straight at him. He's fought plenty of them. So that might not be enough. I don't think any one thing beats Usyk. I think you have to adjust with him in order to beat him. And that hasn't yet to be proven because he hasn't lost a fight. But I think with Fury, I think he needs to be a little bit of both. I think he needs to be aggressive at times. And I think he needs to take a step back, you know, lower Usyk in, just not for the entirety of the fight. You know, because the pressure seemed to be a little bit too much for Fury. You know, and Usyk was very consistent going to the body, shooting jabs to the body, shooting left hands to the body consistently. That he was paying the taxes early. You know what I mean? He was just, I've been sorry, I said paying the taxes. He's paying dividends early in that fight. First 2 rounds, just jab, jab to the body, jab to the body, and then loop that left hand up top every now and then. You know, um, Fury has to do so much more in order to be more successful. Again, the fight was close. It was close, and I do believe the knockdown was definitely a huge factor. But at the same time, like, there's a part of me that feels Fury has to nearly risk getting KO'd in order to win. I think sometimes a fighter just has to do more and even in the earlier rounds. And I know there's a risk of him getting knocked out, but I think Fury needs to really sit down on some of these shots, man. Um, Less taunting, like less trying to please the crowd. I think I said that before in my other videos that I did on this fight. You got him hurt. Walk him down. Follow it up with something. Don't let this guy recover. Why do these fighters continue to let Usyk step back and recover when he's hurt? You got to do exactly what he would do to you if you were in trouble. You got to do it to him. And it's risky because he can counter. You know what I mean? He can come back. I remember AJ had him, buzzed him in one of those later rounds in their rematch fight. And then like AJ had him in trouble. And then the next round, Usyk had AJ in even more trouble. It's like one of those things where, like, listen, if you got Usyk hurt, depending on what period in a round you're in, you gotta like go for it, and at least try to score a knockdown or something. You know what I mean? Because this guy's always gonna recover, and they're both getting up there in age. Usyk is 37, but and Fury's a 36-year-old. But I still believe that Usyk is the younger fighter, as far as his body and just the way he's looked. I think he's closer to his prime than Fury is. I think Fury's been out of his prime for a very long time. He's just very good still. But I think Usyk has had the tougher fights, and I think he's just more dedicated to sport. And he wanted this fight more than Fury. Fury could have had this fight go early. I think Fury made a major error by delaying this fight. Because with time, he's just getting older. Whereas Usyk is getting older too. But Usyk is just a little bit more dedicated to staying, to living the boxer's life. When it comes to Usyk, I think a few things he needs to fix. When he fights at a rhythm sometimes and he's bouncing in and out, sometimes he steps out. When he steps out, he bounces right back in. And he's right in range of Fury to hit him. So I think when I watched the fight, maybe like a week ago, I think that was one thing that I noticed I didn't notice before. Like when he bounces in, he's too close. And he's not in a position where he's ready to attack. And he's not in a good place to defend himself. So, I think his rhythm is sometimes he gets in and out, and sometimes he's getting in. When he gets in, he's just too close to Fury. And Fury times him, catches him with a shot on the way in. Lunging in, obviously, he's going to do that. You know what I mean? Walking straight in, try to come in at an angle. Especially like maybe staying a little bit more on the outside of the lead hand, the weak hand, and loop those left hands. Don't come straight in because that's where the uppercut. I think if Fury's going to hurt Usyk outside of a body shot, I think the uppercut is the money shot. So there's definitely a few things he can correct too, but I think Fury has much more than he needs to do in order to win this rematch. Again, when it came down to it, Fury was a lot more affected from Usyk's punches. So I know Fury's a bigger guy and he's, the true heavyweight, and he's knocked out all these other heavyweights and stuff, at the end of the day, when it came down to it, Usyk's left hands were way more effective than Fury's right, or even his uppercuts, or even his body shots. You know, uh, we haven't seen Usyk being, he hasn't been beaten yet. But I think if Fury's gonna do something, hurting and buzzing Usyk is just not enough. You have to follow it up with something. One shot is just not gonna do it. One shot has never done it before. You have to follow it up. And again, like I said earlier in the video, you have to risk getting KO'd in order to get this guy out of here, because you might punch yourself out and he might come back later. But you have to be more aggressive. You cannot fight on the back foot and just move to your right on the outside of, near the ropes the entire time, putting yourself in the corner. It's just, you're just burning more energy while you're giving him opportunities to land and throw flurries. When it comes to the combinations, Usyk is always going to get him. And Fury's just too easy to hit to the body. So I think Fury, in order to win this fight, he needs to adjust throughout the fight with Usyk. Less taunting, he needs to be aggressive at points in the rounds, and also fight on the back foot at points as well. Okay. I think he needs to do what he did in the first fight, just be a little bit more aggressive. It may cost him the fight. It may cost him to get burned out quicker. But if he wants to win and make a statement this time, I think he needs to be more aggressive. And that may cost him to get hit more. Also mentioned in a video before that smother Usyk a little bit more. You know what I mean? It won't be as easy as he did with Wilder in the rematch in the trilogy. But there are periods I've seen him doing it against Usyk in the first fight. I think in some of those related rounds, step in, lean on him, smother him a little bit. Because when he's recovering, you're letting him recover. You have to find better ways to recover yourself and burn him out and use that size. If you're going to step in and come forward, you have to smother. Now, again, Usyk is going to be looking for opportunities when you are stepping in, but that's the dangers of it. No matter what you do, you're going to be in danger. It's no one way where it's going to be perfect and work out for you. But I think at the very least, sit down on these punches and throw more combinations. Don't just land one good shot to the body and let him back off and recover. Walk him down. I think I made up most of my points. I'm sure there's a lot more things that I could talk about, but at the end of the day, I do think it's a 50-50 fight. I do think Fury has a chance of winning. Okay. This history of him in rematches, he's always performed better. In my heart, I do feel that Fury could pull it off this time. I know I didn't pick him in the first fight, and I know I didn't think he won the first fight. And I'm not even talking about judges. I think that if Fury legitimately does better, he might pull it off. But in my head, I just feel like Usyk is a superior fighter. When I watched that first fight, when I watched what he's done in recent fights, he's just better than what Fury is right now. He's better than him, and he's just been a little better than him for some time now. I just think that, again, he's just the more effective puncher. And I think he's better at pacing himself. I think he's more durable. I think he has more dog in him. Fury has a lot of heart. Now, when I say dog, I don't want you guys to confuse that with heart. Fury's not going to give up. But Usyk is willing to go to war if he has to, and usually he wins those battles. I just think Usyk overall superior, and I have to roll with him again. Look out for the draw too. You know, I'm big on putting a little bit of money and hitting all these draws. So I'm definitely gonna put a little bit of money on the draw. All right, but as far as the fight, again, heart says Fury might edge it this time, but my mind, Usyk is better. All right, so I gotta go. I'm gonna go with Usyk winning this time. Will he stop Fury? He could. If he does stop Fury, though, I think it's because Fury had more success early, but probably burns himself out. And then Usyk can possibly stop in the second half. All right. I don't think Fury is going to be stopping Usyk because Usyk is just a good. He has good survival skills, and he recovers very quickly. I think whatever Fury would have to do to knock him out, it's going to be very difficult for him to do. All right. So I think if Fury does win, it will definitely be on points. I think Usyk, he can win either way. All right. Almost stopped him in the ninth in the first fight. Anyway, I'll see you guys Friday night. All right. Give you my last thoughts. Probably go live, talk last thoughts on the fight. And I will see you again Saturday to cover the entire card. Make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.